South Auckland's Pukekohe Hill and surrounding area is the market garden for New Zealand's largest city. However, urban sprawl is taking over this highly productive land and covering it with tar seal, concrete and housing. Local growers are concerned about this development.
We produce the celery on approximately 20 hectares of land, and we try and manage it as best we can. There is unfortunately no surplus land available to lease to get a better rotation pattern, because all the outstanding cropping land in this district is in very high demand for various crops. We get good rainfall. The summers are not too hot. The land drains very well. There's not much land around here that floods. The soils can be cropped continuously. They don't leach their nutrients very easily. And it's relatively frost-free around here. Not totally, but relatively. Soil type here is volcanic clay loam. Most people think it's probably the best. There could be some arguments about that, but other soils that are more variable and lighter in nature don't produce the same yields and can be often disappointing results over a period of time. Bearing in mind a lot of the land around here has been cropped for 100 years or more. The biggest threat to what we're doing is the residential tsunami, which is housing and moving all over the landscape. Bearing in mind, this all started about 65 years ago, and a small residential development took place on part of Kitchener Road on the lower slopes of Pukekohe Hill. Now, just above that development, the potato cyst nematode was identified in the field of potatoes, and that was the first reports of it in New Zealand. However, that land eventually went into housing, and between those lower slopes of Pukekohe Hill and the town itself was a lot of outstanding soils, which also quickly disappeared over a period of time. Now, all those little pieces, or bigger pieces, have now been covered in housing, and what is happening at the moment is that we're now seeing the extremities, or the perimeter of that area, moving into housing. And because it's in your face, everyone is now starting to take a bit more notice. In this particular property, we're in the middle of intense residential development, and it's chaos. I mean, there's houses popping up everywhere, motor scrapers all over the place, diggers galore. You've never seen so many of them, trucks blocking our entrance. There's been a major dust nuisance up till now, something we can do without, but it's just the sign of the times. Townies find it very difficult to coexist with this industry. There's always something that upsets them. They've got perceived ideas about how things should be done. And it's not uncommon to come across people that take the attitude, well, all right, this gentleman's been in horticulture since the 1960s. I don't care how you've been running your business up till then, or up till now rather, since then. They'll turn around and say, now we're living next door, you're going to have to change. And so we're being forced to deal with those sort of situations.
We process celery sticks, and we've got a very unique process where we use a water jet cutter. Now that cuts the celery sticks at about 30,000 psi and helps cauterise the cut ends and prolongs the shelf life. And that was partially funded by a government scheme, and that's been very successful up to date. Predominantly, most of it goes to the foodstuffs group, which is Pack and Saves and New Worlds. When I first entered the industry in the late 80s, it was hard slather, but now as we get the huge immigration of people arriving in the country, I noticed that our orders are getting higher and higher, and the profits are definitely being realised in my industry. So it's looking very, very good future. The land values have definitely soared in value. I mean, they're realising around about 700,000 an acre as a residential parcel. That process of residential approval was done through the Housing Accord by Nick Smith, the Minister of Housing. So he passed that off as special housing area, and he never consulted us as growers, because I would like to have had some input into that, because I used to crop some of that land around there, and it was, very productive, and it's highly versatile soils, and now they've been lost. We need these versatile soils to continue with our business. We can't replace them. They're volcanic in nature, and we have a good climate here in Auckland. It's relatively frost-free. We're very close to a big pool of labour, and we're close to the markets as well. And you know, we can't afford to lose it. I mean, how are you going to feed the nation with all these new immigrants coming, and there isn't the increase in the food production to go with it? It's madness. Rates will definitely be going up in value. I think they're due for renewal. Sure, they're going to be crippling, but the way it's been going with the land values that have been realised in Auckland, it's probably worthwhile just hanging on and paying the rates and getting your share and the value, increase in value of the land.
You know, I'm lamenting the loss of that productive good land. It just seems to be sacrilege. I can't accept it, but there's nothing I can do about it because the planners and the politicians don't have the same respect. I don't think they have the same vision, and that is the problem. They just cannot foresee that in years to come there may be a serious issue. Auckland Council are looking for places to put houses, and so if we stick all the people out here, I'm not sure how they're going to get to work and how long it's going to take them to get there, but it will allow the leafy suburbs to stay leafy without high-rise for a bit longer. That's my view of it. In years to come, when I'm long gone, pushing up daisies, as they say, I would imagine that we might very well see factory farming, where a lot of food is produced in multi-storied buildings. We perhaps have them out on the coast, and we're relying on desalinated water to grow them.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.